Hi, my name is Koku with blackfilm.com, and I'm here with Vinchi, Lala Anthony, and Sydney Mitchell, and we're here to talk about season 2 of the STARZ hit series BMF. Thank you all for joining me.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Hey,
Thank you so much, guys. Vinci, I've spoken with you before.
all right, yeah. You don't care to talk to me right now.
No, so I'm gonna tell you. No, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you the first question then, just because you said that. So I'm gonna start with you, Vinci. With Terry Flenory, he's just trying to shoot straight at this point, go to school, stay out the life. But, and I'm glad we have these women here. It's so funny because a lot of times we kind of paint Meech as sort of like the worst of the two in certain senses. But in your case, you've got this crazy love triangle. So you done
Right.
created a whole host of other kinds of problems for yourself. So talk about playing that character and how it's like, okay, so he doesn't want to really be in the life, but he got his own set of problems.
Yeah, I think he's just being a young man, and
Yeah.
when you're developing and going through all these different type of emotions, sometimes you could, like, I think with his baby mama Lawanda, that was like a safe place that, he ended up having a kid with her.
Mm-hmm.
But then he didn't really like love. I don't think he was in love with her. He just had love for her. And then, as he's developing, he's growing more as a man, and he meets Marquisha, and he's like, damn, now I'm actually in love with her. So that's what creates that little, that's the confusion there. And at the same time, I think she's helping him develop into a man, and that's something that he always wanted. He always wanted that autonomy. He always wanted that independence.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in season 2, like, you're gonna see a lot of that. His problems are stemming from that because on one side of the spectrum, that's his family, and that's a safe place with Lawanda. He's known for a minute, and the other side is promising him everything he's ever wanted in his life. And it's like the first time I feel like he's getting to actually choose the direction of his life. So that's where the little turmoil will come from.
That's a good point because even like with Lawanda, they were trying to force her back into his life, and then once he sort of realizes that he's not making that choice. So
Right.
that's a very interesting point. And I'm gonna kick it to you then, Lala, for that reason. Marquisha does see something in him, which she's apprehensive at first, and it's like, this little boy, if you don't get out of my face. But he's very charming, and even though he's young, there is something to him that really, really appealed to her. So what do you think? And the thing is, she has a whole man and life herself. What do you think drew her to him in that way?
I think it's definitely the newness of like somebody new giving you a certain type of energy. A lot of times when we're in relationships, it becomes stagnant. It's just the day to day. So then when someone else comes and you feel like you're actually seen, and even though he's younger, it's like he's seeing me, he's complimenting me, he's flirting with me, he's making me feel a certain way. And as much as Marquisha tried to kind of just push it away, eventually it was like, all right, let me see what this is about. And I think it was just a need of also like, I see something in him and I want to bring that out. I know he has it in him. So how can I help bring that out of him?
And Sydney, Lawanda ultimately, she wants to be a family. It seems to make sense, right? They already have the baby. Let's everybody, and of course the family wants them to be together, but then you've got this complicated situation and you're really just trying to keep your family together. So explain what that's like. 'Cause I think in some ways, I think that the storyline here, because it involves love rather than like drugs, which is just sort of also part of the storyline, I think we can all mostly relate to relationship stuff.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like BMF is bigger than just, the drugs. It's about the family too. And I feel like Terry, because, sometimes when your parents tell you to do something, you go and do the opposite. So I feel like because the family is trying to push him even closer to Lawanda, it makes him want Marquisha even more and more and more because we all want what we can't have. So as Lawanda, I feel like that's, also when you have competition and when you see somebody else in the picture, it makes you want that person even more. So it's like, I'm chasing him, he's chasing Marquisha, so yeah, it was fun playing it though.
I can imagine. And I just, you guys, the fashions are
Yes.
so dope. Like a lot of that stuff I really would wear now. I was even
Right.
thinking like, I think I would cut my hair like Lawanda's, like to right today.
Really, you were really taking me like that.
Listen, if I ain't grow back, I cut it. I do the asymmetrical hair. Like, I would do it. I would. I promise you. I had a mullet, y'all. Dimitri, don't do me like that. I'm serious.
It's so crazy. It's like my aunts watching the show, like they were going crazy because they were like showing me their yearbook pictures. They were like,
Yeah.
style. Like that used to be in. So it was crazy.
No, that's so cool. You know, Lala, I do have a question for you, and it's kind of fun. I know you used to live in Atlanta. Do you remember, or were you ever around in a time when BMF kind of dominated in the club scene? Because I was down there around that time too. So I could peripherally, I remember BMF-ish stuff. What about you?
I remember it. I was in high school, I believe. So I remember it, but it felt like it was happening around me, and you would hear about something you always kind of wanted to know more about. And I remember going to an event or a party like, oh, this is absolutely crazy. So I do remember hearing about it. I mean, you couldn't be Black and live in Atlanta. It didn't matter how old you were. You could be really young and you still knew, if you're tapped in, you knew what was going on.
I agree. I was literally a teenager and I remember seeing the billboards. And I remember even sneaking into the club. I shouldn't even be saying this on this thing, y'all, but I snuck in the club. And I remember one time they said, BMF, everybody free. Like when I'm like, yes, I got to hit free before 11. I only could buy one drink. I'll give you another drink. Hey, thank you, BMF. No, but I mean, I think that this is a really great show. And like I said, I think the dynamic of what you all bring as far as the love story, it's so interesting. And it you know, it just adds a different layer of complexity that, you know, it gives this more of like a soap opera feel too, which is great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Demetrius, so you you know, Terry out there trying to you know, sabotage cars and he's trying to play the street tactics.
yeah, he's doing a little bit of that.
No, but it's quite interesting because it's like he wants to get out of the life, but then it's like the money is not fast enough. And I can't honestly say that I've known people like that they've really tried very, very hard to do the right thing. But once you get a taste of a certain type of money, a certain kind of way, some people just, they cannot pull themselves out.
He's a product of his environment. So I think, you know, a lot of times when we're judging these characters, we just got to really consider the environment that they're around. At that time, Detroit was the murder capital of America. And I mean, you couldn't really make enough money to support that entire family. And after tasting hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know what I'm saying? It's like, to go back in that mundane life, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but to go back from that, go to that, it's kind of like psychologically, it plays with your head when you know how quick you could really make money.
I think one of the biggest takeaways I got from this too, just watching this and also watching the documentary, because I've taken a lot of the BMF content in, is that, you know, these are not parents that were like the products of this lifestyle, right? And I think a lot of times people just assume that there's some sort of legacy of violence or people that are in this, you know, doing the drugs and madness, mayhem, whatever. These are church-going folks. It's a 2-parent household. They were trying to just work regular jobs. They weren't even trying to take their son's money, you know? And that's, a lot of times that's really what happens. But their sons were trying to do what was necessary to sustain in such a violent, you know, era.
Right. And when you talk to Lucille, like in real life, I was talking to her and she was saying a lot of the time they highlight what they did that was wrong, but don't highlight how much they gave to the community and like kids and how good they were to people, you know? So that's a whole nother side that hopefully they show as well.
I'm glad you said that, Sydney, because to be honest with you, anybody that I speak to around this that was actually around it, they have very, very good things to say about Terry and Meech. Like if they weren't necessarily like involved, you know, but like they were always talking about like they take people on trips. They were, you know, very, very benevolent, paying people's rent, things like that. So you make a very good point. You know, there's different sides to people, and I don't think that we should make, you know, complete judgments in that sense. So I know we got to wrap it up, guys. I do want to say thank you so much. My name is Koku with blackfilm.com. I'm here with Vinchi once again, Lala Anthony, and Sydney Mitchell. And we were here to talk about season 2 of the STARZ hit series BMF. You guys, it's coming in January. I got to see 3 episodes. I'm very excited. They did a great job here, guys, and continued success to all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Coco.
Bye-bye. If you want to see more content like this on blackfilm.com, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell.